Alright, I've now clicked the record button so that I can say, yo, what up? Tonight, we are, I want to do something that I don't normally do. I don't normally do this. But I wanted to, chat, talk, converse a bit with you all, Twitch and YouTube, live streamed, about, the winter webcam warm-up, and just, the decks and the choices that were made inside of the decks. I'm gonna make this a little quick, because we do have 8 decks we have to get through, and I believe that I have put them in their winning order. But I want to talk about the bracket first. Let me get rid of all of my stuff. If I do this, just gets rid of all of it. Nice. So here is the bracket. Obviously, we can see where it is, and there should be the words William Howard up here in the champion spot. But top 8 was very diverse, right? We had 1 Jiro, we had 1 Mountain Lady 2, 1 Muscular 1, 1 Murio 1, 1 Eraserhead 1, 1 Endeavor 3, and then 2 Shigaraki 3s, which is really cool. The only repeat character being a 7-hand size control character in a new format with a bunch of 6-hand size aggro characters feels very cool. I dig that a lot. When you look at like the rest of the field, right? We've got Jiro 1, Mountain Lady 2, Endeavor 3, Toga, Murio 1 that are all 6-hand size, just trying to kick your teeth in, right? You have Muscular, which is a cool backswing deck. You have Eraserhead, which is a bit of a mid-rangey control-ish deck, right? Like kind of has the idea of I have all the best pieces in all the world, and then the Shigaraki deck, which is I'm going to stress your resources with minusing checks and so on and so forth, minusing checks and breakers, and making you make bad choices about do you let me draw bonus cards, and tax you mentally and physically that way. And it ended up being taken down by Shigaraki. But let's get into. I just turned on everything, including the webcam that I don't want to be using. I should turn this off, and I should turn this off. Chat, say something for me. Say something quick. Let me know you're there. Oh, that's what I don't need this. We'll move on. But I want to talk deck lists. So I am going to be using the official deck list forums. I didn't make them over on UVS Ultra. And so you can find these deck lists out on the UGN website. Yeah, you can just find them out on the website. So in 8th place, we have Michael Larson playing Murio. For some reason, they swapped the damage and or the attacks and the foundations for this one. So when we take a look at the attack lineup, right, it's kind of your classic, right? I lead Phantom Threat. Like the best tactic is Phantom Threat as my first move. It clears progressive, goes to my card pool, goes to my momentum, and then play Rejuvenating Smash. Draw 2, gain 2, and this one's on a 5, this one's on a 5. I roll 2 5s, and I play 2 incredible cards. And then whatever else happens. Cool idea. Murio took a bit of got away from the limelight a bit as we saw Capture Evildoers get banned, because like being able to clear your card pool 3 times with the Capture Evildoers and like take an extra turn is very potent whenever you've got draw 2, add a face down to your hand. Pretty good. Actions, assets, double Airy Smiles, 1 Airy being like another copy of Murio, of like if I have momentum I cancel an attack, followed by if I do happen to block with an Airy Smile, I can slow your turn down so I can get back to me, because again, I'm a 6-hand size aggro character. I want to be playing the game on there should be more actions happening on my turn than any turn of the game, than on my opponent's turn, right? Like, that's how the aggro decks win, is they take more actions than my opponent. So when we look at the foundation lineup, not a ton of different foundations, right? The foundation idea here is very, very limited, very, very tight, right? My 0 diffs are anti-stun, right? Re-readies itself, so it's a bonus foundation. Or build one off the top, bonus foundation. We have build more cards off the top with Always Cool and Male Bonding. Pretty good. We have draw cards with Destined for Mainstream and Passing the Torch, right? This is all about how do I get more resources. Damage Pump with Lemillion of the Big 3, Self-Sacrifice, Ready the Villain Hideout. This deck has one mode, and it's on. I want to just kill you. I'm trying to go. And so the attack lineup and the foundation lineup match it, right? With Murio being able to change zones and punch slam. I can't see anything that really like needs to change or be different about this deck. I mean, it might be like, you know, like increasing rating or even doing things like, I mean, we look at the sideboard, right? Pull no punches. We can have one pull no punch in the main board for a bit of deadlock pressure, right? Because there's no deadlock on any of these cards. It's all saved for the sideboard, right? And so, like, even if we had a single piece of deadlock pressure of, like, my moves get a speed, or a 2-speed and stun 1, could be something relevant, right? I don't know. And I wonder how often the good and evil came in. And the second area. Interesting. These ones make total sense to me. I don't know about these ones. But we'll move on. Again, congrats to Michael Larson. We're going to talk about Keaton Meadows playing Shigaraki 3. Same character, the only repeat character, but got 7th. With a deck that you'll see is very different from Will Howard's, right? 4 Blue Flame Torment, 4 Vial, 4 Prominence Burn is the big thing. Now, I've played against Will quite a few times on this stream, even. I gotta say, Prominence Burn is very, very cool. The idea of Blue Flame Torment making your Prominence Burns way easier, and then removing the Blue Flame Torment to burn you for extra. I've always said that Shigaraki has an issue with killing people, and Prominence Burn does just that. It just kills people. It kills people dead, right? Going Blue Flame Torment into Prominence Burn into Tongue Whip, into like a Vile Seizing is like incredible, right? It's very, very good to look at this attack lineup. I do wonder if we missed any amount of Quick Burn, because Quick Burn is one of the easiest ways to get our once per game online, right? We name attack, or we name foundation, reveal its foundation, snap it to momentum. We go, hey, I don't actually care if this Quick Burn hits you or not, and there it is. But with 18 attacks in our 60 card deck, with our character that draws cards, is it possible that we maybe wanted to put more Quick Burns in? I don't know. I'm not positive. But we will. I mean, we have to ask him. He's in chat right now. He can talk. Assets wise, 1 Eerie, 1 Twisty Surrounding, 1 League of Villains. League of Villains is huge. League of Villains is huge. When we look back at the last deck, there's so many playable while committed cards. League of Villains is like burn, 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 burn. It says that your powerhouse Prominence Burns don't have to work as hard, as well as cancel and enhance is so huge. It's so huge. Man, I love League of Villains. It's so good. Action wise, we got 4 actions: Fierce Wings, Barrier Shield, and Runaway, which I think is very innovative. People look at Runaway and they go, man, I'm playing a 19 health 7 hand size character. I can't get away with, you know, burning for 5. But when you take it, you look at things like the craziest thing to Runaway right now is like a Canyon Cannon, right? My opponent is playing their Edge Shot deck. They've played their 3rd attack and it's getting +6 or whatever. And then they mill the 2 cards, or they review the 2 cards on the top of the deck. They get +5 more damage, and they go catch, and you go run away. I'll take 3. Push that card to the card pool. Feels so good. Feels super good. But onto the foundations. I like the fact that we're not just like 4Xing the obvious Dobby cards, right? Fiery Confrontation is just a 2 of. No Remorse is a 2 of. Again, it goes back to the classic, the desires of what's in your decks, right? Your needs, wants, wish, niche. We didn't, need, want, right, hold on. Want, need, nice, wait. Nice. There's a YouTube video about it. I've forgotten the 4 words. That's okay, but like, he's saying that like we don't need Fiery Confrontation. We don't need Fiery Confrontation in order to make something happen. But like Cooperation Offer being a 3 of, I think is really interesting. I wonder if there's a 4th one in the board. No, he says we don't need it. Interesting. Incompatible Quirks is good. Brute Strength is the main way that Shigaraki kills people. The 1 of Super Rejuvenation. Is this not just better as like another looking for a challenge, or like a Cooperation Offer instead? 4 High Block is bad. Just like, I guess it says that I don't have to block a thing, as opposed to this thing says I get to block better. I don't know. And we have plenty of Speed Hate, right? Like this is Speed Hate, Speed Hate, Speed Hate, Speed Hate, Speed Hate, Speed Hate. So like maybe it's just like it does a different role, right? Widens our net a bit. And then 1 in the Typhoon, 1 Sticky Balls, 1 Apathetic. I wonder if we wanted more in the Typhoons. Again, this is a bit more of an aggressive list than, like, I already know what Will's list looks like for the most part. And so, like, it's just being more aggressive than Will's, like, I wanna backswing you, I wanna tap out your resources. And so it is it's interesting. It's interesting that we only valued one into the Typhoon. Whenever we look at our sideboard, though, right? 2 more super regens. Maybe this is for like when my opponent is trying to burn me, and / or when my opponent's moves don't hit very hard, I can just regain them back and just not care. And then love the Looking for the Challenge, right? Looking for the Challenge is like a foundation version of what Blue Flame Torment is doing for our Prominence burn. And then Influencing Youth commits a bunch of foundations. Yeah, this all looks great. Second Chronos Traces trigger. This looks good. This looks super good. Runaway is just a different way to play Berserker Bite. Makes sense, right? Add the card over to the card pool. I love that. It's a better check as well. I dig it. I dig it. Yeah, cool deck, Keenan. I'm very happy to see Prominence Burn getting some love. Up next, we've got Nathan Dwaltz. Eraserhead list. This guy's been on Eraserhead for a long time. We worked together on a Void list for Nationals, and he did significantly better than I did. But this is not that. We're going to go down to the attacks first. This is the kick version, right? A lot of cool draw card off of these 10 attacks, right? And then we've got Rebound Sidekick to snag momentum. And then the real kill card is this Reciprocal Acceleration Kick, right? Of like, I want to remove my card pool. I've drawn a bunch of cards. I'm a 7-hand size character. I keep playing attacks over and over and over again as long as I can keep checking 5s. 1 Reciprocal Burst for like the different kill condition. And I talked to him. He said Roundhouse Exhaust was bad, and he would replace it with pretty much anything else. He was even looking like, I would rather play like Hardened Jab just to like have a 1 high block and pick up a face down, right? Like have 5 tapes in my deck would be very cool. And so like this one he did not like. When we move on to the actions, I love the double plus ultra. There was one turn where I saw him pump his Reciprocal Acceleration Kick up to like 12 damage as soon as it came into play, so that his first enhance put it to 24, and then he was going to give it like 6 more speed to make it unblockable. Failed the plus ultra, but a very cool tactic of utilizing plus ultra. Makes a lot of sense in the kick deck. Just even just making this for 12 damage is like half of every character's life. Like, it's very, very good. And then foundation wise, we got a bit of them, right? Because we're playing a 67 card deck, right? When we look at our top row, love the heroics, love the elasticity, right? Yes. These cards are all about like slowing things down or pumping up my moves, reducing yours. It is also a bit of stun hate, which is very good, right? It's good stun hate that stops that gives me a momentum for my I have a bunch of EX moves kick deck. It feels very cool. Cantus Gaming, Nightwatch, good cancels, Citywide Crisis, and Spooky, cool ways to manipulate like resets and whatnot. He's a big fan of Crushing Tooth. I'm still not on board with this card, but I get the block with it, build it, committed, and then like sealing an attack card is very good, right? As long as it's got these 3 symbols, everything you can decide it out. Games 2 and 3. 1 villain's defeated to take care of the problem cards. Manly Passion to build in. Practical Studies, this all makes sense. Fruits is Deadlock. Calling for Backup is like bonus draw cards. Same with Mediator. Tape says that your erases are good. A Master's Pride is interesting. It's good Deadlock, right? After my attack deals damage, my next check gets +1. It helps us play out cool Reciprocal Acceleration Kick chains, right? It says that Reciprocal Acceleration Kick, like, it can be played second, or played third, and you'll have to commit 1 foundation. And we also have seen that we have ways to snap momentum in, including like Rebound Sidekick, right? That's cool. And then just the 1 def packages, so I get a little more speed, anti-stun. Makes sense. When we look at the sideboard, 1 Plummeting Punch in there exclusively for Deadlock stuff. Asset hate, Breaker hate, Throw hate for sure, Action hate, and then 2 more Barrier Shields. Did we play 1 Barrier Shield? Yeah, 1 Barrier Shield on the main board. That makes sense to me. And then Learning the Standards, right? Stops things from building in with Tasty Riff, which I think is neat, as well as like, you know, same idea as before of like, I'll take this damage, especially if you can do something silly like damage reduced with Spooky or damage reduced with Elasticity. Take the hit and slow it down just a little bit. People got distracted, I would say, by the idea of repeated smash. And I still think that the Void repeated smash decks are good, right? But it's cool to go back to the roots of like, this is how Eraserhead was originally played, as like a Void kick deck. And so that's neat. We'll move on now to Frank. We Googled it on stream. Gargulio, right? Gargulio? Frank. Playing Mount Lady 2. Speaking of the punch package, here it is. For Titan Cliff, for Rewind Thought. Hold on, how many? 69 cards in the main deck. That's so many cards. With 22 attacks. I guess with Titan Cliff drawing cards, Rewind Throttle drawing cards, Hardened Jab drawing cards, Rejuvenate Smash drawing cards, we get to run through our deck pretty quickly here. I'm sitting on my blanket, and it was bugging me because I couldn't move around. And then things like Repeated Smash, Plummeting Punch, Hardened Chop, all as like disruptive pieces. Okay, I dig it. And I like the double Grasping Tape Toss, right? This is an 8 damage move in Mount Lady once we have 3 counters. That has a potential stun 3, right? Mount Lady, if I've got 5 counters, stuns 1. This has stun 1 if it's not blocked, stun 1. So like an 8 damage stun 3 move with an incredible deadlock. Yeah, I dig it. Actions, double barrier shield, 1 nullify. A nullify's every time that somebody is willing to put nullify in their deck, it works. It works super, super well. Works super, super well. Number 23 Pro Hero. I mean, these all make sense, right? 6 check, 6 check. I wonder what other 6 checks we have to build in. That's it? That's all we cared about? Makes sense to me, right? More options when it comes to reviewing stuff. Number 4 Pro Hero. Yeah, body rejuvenation I think is really interesting, right? Of like, either our goal here is to just discard it with like Titan Cliff to just gain more health, right? Make our 30 health not 30 health, but something bigger. Double learning, male bonding, just to build cards down to pick them back up with jab or replace them with chop. This all makes sense to me. Love the double hacker, right? Discard that momentum to redraw, cancel assets. And then idle work I think is so interesting. If this attack deals no damage, draw a card, discard a card. Very neat. And then like can't escape me, fruits of our labors. All in all, I think I like this deck a lot. Chap pointed it out. There is no Canyon in this deck, right? But I think that like we just didn't care about it because of Titan Cliff and just using the review step we get naturally, right? We're not trying to play fast here. We're trying to play. We want three counters, so that all of our stuff is +3 damage, right? Like making Rewind Thought was like a 5 high for 6, just for free is very good. It's just good. And so like the Canyon slot is just this Grasping Tape Toss slot, and Grasping Tape Toss just like casts again a wider net of like things that we could do instead. It's neat. Sideboard wise, I love the blood curdles in a lot of these decks. I mean, characters are powerful, right? Characters are very, very, very good. And there's just like more copies of this, more copies of this. Tacky Fanatic is very cool. Probably just like the Deadlock Enhance. After they play an enhance ability on an asset or foundation, cancel it. I mean, it cancels assets, right? It could be worth it. But again, congrats to Frank on whatever place they got. I don't remember. We'll move on. Michael Everett. I guess it was 5th place. Michael Everett playing the character that nobody saw coming as Muscular, right? This deck is so cool. Zero Gravity Rush and Falling Skies becoming absolutely massive. Zero Gravity Rush, I think, is like the MVP of this deck. Yeah, like it has to be, right? Like you get +8 counters on it. And like this is a 12 high for 12 that draws you 2 cards. Muscular builds cards in face down after he takes a hit, and so like you get to pick them up with Hardened Jab and such. I think it's really interesting that we're only playing 2 jab. I think that's crazy, right? 2 jab, 2 BMI buster. Maybe we cared about actions, or we thought we were gonna get more momentum than we were. Yeah, I think that like instead of these ignited arrows, or maybe instead of like the dragon dives, I would have played more jabs just to like refresh my foundations. But obviously, I mean, he did way better than I did, and he played with a deck that nobody saw coming. Truly, foundation wise, we have all of these, and here's my big takeaway: is Enemies Necessary is so weird. It's so weird. Of just like. The only discard outlets we have are the one of Snack Time, right? We have, one of Snack Time, and then we have High Engine Kick, and we have Titan Cliff. And that's it? That's the only thing that we have for Enemies Necessary? So yeah, I guess like Titan Cliff goes +1, This goes +1. This goes +1. But, like, it seems not incredible, right? I think that the best foundation in the deck, bar none, is probably just Heroic Endurance. Being able to sit there with, like, a bunch of enhanced commit -2 damage seems really, really strong. It makes me wonder if we could have maybe even, like, doubled, tripled down, and been like, yo, how do I put, what's the Kirishima 1 card? The 1/5, 3 mid block, breaker 1, commit your next one, gets -2, right? Like you could 4x that card in Earth decks right now. Resistance, thank you, yeah. So Heroic Endurance and Resistance both going in the deck and being like, you can't touch me. Your moves don't deal damage, or they'll do 1 or 2. I'm Muscular. I'm gonna rack up these counters and I'll save. My vitality will be high. Muscular in most of these games that we watched was like a 50 health character, right? They were getting 8 counters and half blocking and not blocking things when it was important. Like the skill that Michael Everett showed with this deck was very, very cool. But we'll move on to the sideboard. Learning Standard makes total sense. Face Shield, good block. You're so obvious as a reset. BMI Buster, he must have been like just really afraid of actions, right? Like what actions matter. Because this card definitely stops. Like things like a race on a turn that matters. And then the Villainous Teamwork, right? Villainous Teamwork just says destroy an asset in either stage. So like if you're playing Airy, if you're playing Mimic, right? Like you just play Villainous Teamwork and rock it. All in all, definitely the most creative deck, the most interesting deck that was played at the tournament. Although I guess it loses points because it wasn't playing Prominence Burn. Shucks. Okay, moving on. We have our third place. We've got Mitchell Chimino. It's Jiro. It's Mitchell's bread and butter. We've got attack lineup. Double jab at home. The most broken card in this character. Home Run Comet, Falling Skies, Electric Jolt. This attack lineup seems perfect for the 60 card deck, right? 20 attacks. It just seems perfect. Yeah, it seems very, very strong. Actions, assets, double seizing. Works really, really well with Jolt, right? Gives Jolt +2 speed, +2 damage. And then Foundations, Flustered, and Destined, and Latent Skill are all just like big draw cards. It's like I'm gonna run through my deck as quick as I can, right? And then you've got Basic Training as the only damage pump on the board. Because I guess she takes care of the damage pump, but this is also deadlock pressure. And I mean the crazy thing about Basic Training truly is just the deadlock, right? Is we Basic Training just says like if you go to deadlock, my moves I'll get +1/+1 no matter what, right? Even my flash attack does. It's very good. I guess we also have Big 3, which is change the zone against another speed, which is like a 4th copy of Basic Training, which is pretty good. I think the Return of the Kings is huge in this deck, right? If you have the bonus momentum of like block with Return of the Kings, discard the momentum, build it in. I have another -2 block mod that I get to play with, or commit for -2 to my block mod. It's really, really good. This might be with like the one of Wealthy Aspirations, one of Web of Blades, like the perfect Jiro deck. I don't know if there's anything really to change out of like what's happening here. I wonder how he liked the 4 Arrogant Disposition, or if he could like cut this down to a 3 of and like include one other thing, like the 4th Return of the Kings, right? I don't know. All right, same block mod, but this one's like a little slightly better effect, slightly more well-rounded effect. It's interesting. I can tell you that this is one of the decks that I'm bringing to Worlds, right? I'm just like, this deck looks perfect. And whenever you look at the sideboard, it's just 1 Web of Blades, 3 Cheerleader, 1 Amplified Sound Blast, right? It's just another flash attack. Close Quarter Subdual. He was so high on this card of like, I want to commit at my opponent's board. He just loves this card so much for each charge in the thing. And then Triple Aries Smiles. Hey, play a non-attack card, slow your turn down, breaker 1 you for the rest of the turn. It's very good. It's very good. Moving on to second place, Ryan Kogod, playing Endeavor 3. All right, well, let's go look at the attacks first. I love this attack package. I think it's really, really good. 4 Blue Flame Torment, 4 Hell Spider, for Flashfire Fist, which I'm so happy people are on Flashfire Fist. This card mills a sixth of your deck now. It's so good. Triple plus Ultra Prominence Burn, a card that I am not a huge fan of. I'm not positive that you needed all 3 copies, but like having 2 of this going after your cycle is very, very strong, right? It starts as a 6 for 13, and it says every time that you mill one, or you successfully put a card from off the top of your deck, my opponent commits a card, which is incredible. Up to 3 times, right? So it's like stun 3 if you can figure out how to clear cards off the top of your deck, and it has an insane deadlock ability of just all my moves get plus 2 speed, right? Plus Ultra Prominence Burn combined with Hell Spider says that everything gets plus 5 speed with Endeavor, which is nuts. I love Fiery Vengeance. I like the fact that he was playing a 2 of, strictly because I only own 2 copies of that card, so I could like make this deck. Calorie Counter as a 2 of, Freezer Burn as a 2 of. Pro Hero Rankings, I don't think you can ever convince me to play Pro Hero Rankings. I think this card is not good. It is like a 1 mid block, breaker 1 block, but man, I would already I would just play Twisty Surroundings, right? I get that it's a 3/5 with a breaker 2. I don't know. If you're gonna use this asset spot, pick a better asset. Actions: Sugar Rush and Seizing. I don't think you need Seizing strictly because you have Flashfire Fist. Flashfire Fist target flips as well, but I guess this hits the 2 diffs as opposed to just the 1s and 0s. And then foundation wise, I really like his foundation lineup. Double League Interview, double new number 1 is like a little bonus mill. Firestarter, I saw Firestarter affect Deadlock more this past weekend than I have any other time in the game. Like I played against an Endeavor, and I was forced to deal with Firestarter, and it was one of the reasons like they won, right? Because I had to target Firestarter as opposed to some other good card on their deck, like Revel or Latent Skill or something like that, because like I couldn't handle the 1/1 on everything. Revel, Latent Skill, Calling for Backup, Internship with Best Genius, Heroic Lineage. I think the one thing that's missing out of this deck truly is just a Lockbreaker, right? I think having Frozen in your list, like -1 new number 1, and then like -1 Heroic Lineage maybe, or -1 League Interview. Toss in 2 Frozens and then run it, right? It breaks these whenever you're ready, and it puts Foundations back in your deck. Which is huge, which can be huge. Onto the sideboard. Double Irrefutable makes sense. Desperate Struggles, Failed Role Model. I love the seal. I would pretty much always put Failed Role Model in the deck over top of Irrefutable, unless you're worried about the asset seal, right? This only seals Foundations. Young Heroes is good. I mean, it's Young Heroes is a better foundation than that, or a better asset than this. Red Guard, Barrier Shield. Yeah, this is great, right? We put our defense and disruption inside of our sideboard, and we could have put all the kill you cards in the main board. Makes total sense for Endeavor 3. So again, congrats to Ryan for the incredible finish. And then lastly, Will Howard, Shigaraki 3. Quick Burn at the 4 of, Tongue Whip at the 4 of, Vial at the 4 of, Blue Flame Torment at the 4 of, 1 Berserker Bite, Living Spikes, Chronosis Trigger. The coolest card in this deck is the Living Spikes for sure, right? You pick a card in your discard pile and you put it on top of your deck. It says that you put it on top of your deck and then you attempt to draw it with Shigaraki, and if that doesn't work, you just draw it with no remorse. It just says this card is a 6 damage move that just says go pick up whatever cool card you want. Did you want your Blue Flame Torment? Awesome. Did you want your Tongue Whip? Awesome. And it's the same tactic as what Keenan was doing with his Prominence Burns of you would just play Blue Flame Torment, you make them fail that check twice, this thing is easier to play. Living Spikes is no longer a 7 difficulty played second, it's now a 5 difficulty. 5 difficulty, 6 low for 6, so we're zone overlowing, right? This is a 5 low for 7 because they failed this twice, and then we've got Living Spikes, which is a 6 low for 6 with I destroy one of my foundations to selectively destroy one of your foundations. You can discard a card to cancel. So it's again, it's hand tax, it's stage tax, it's check tax. Like this deck is making you make a ton of really tough choices. Berserker Bite being the blood, sweat, and beers of the deck of just like, hey, your whole turn is harder. And mine isn't. It's also a throw, right? So we have momentum generation off of the throw as well as Quick Burn. doing the same idea we said with Keenan's deck of like reveal the name foundation, slam it in. If it is an attack, we do that same idea with Shigaraki or Living Spikes to just go pick it up with no remorse. Incredible. Actions and assets. Ton of actions, just a ton, and a lot of assets, right? Double Twisty Surroundings, which is pretty good because of the terrain keyword, right? I play my Twisty, you play your Twisty. Well, I can play a Twisty back without cycling, and I get to actually have the asset for the final one. It also is a 2-mid block with Breaker too, right? So like it's useful in hand as well as on stage, and it checks a 5. Like there's no reason not to like if I could figure out a way to like play a deck with 4 of these, I would. In Mimic, I would just play 4 Twisty Surroundings, and you couldn't stop me. Like, I would play a minimum 3. I'd have to test it. Action-wise, Triple Barrier makes total sense. 1 Showdown, 1 Masterminding. I love these numbers. And then 1 Fierce Wings to go pick up whatever the heck you need, right? Fierce Wings picks up all of these options. So I Fierce Wings to Barrier Shield, do the thing. I Fierce Wings, your thing's already slow. I can block it with Showdown. It's super, super good. Super, super good. Foundation-wise, right? Really potent 3 diffs, right? League Handler in the Typhoon, cancel an attack, whether they never played it or it's auto-blocked, right? As long as it's not a throw, this feels great. And then draw a card off of the No Remorse. House of Cards, I think, is really interesting. It's a thing that was missing out of Keenan's list, right? Or at least if it was there, I didn't spot it. I think there's a lot more wide options with what Will's deck is doing. I think the only thing that I would change here is just have a Brute Strength. 4th Brute Strength. Because it really feels like this deck needs you to be able to find Brute Strength in order to make a lot of these moves, like, actually do some real amount of damage. Like, otherwise, we're just, like, waiting for my opponent to tap out, and it's possible they just don't do that. But if they don't, like, if they don't tap out and they just sit there and build in front of you, you just Vile Season them to death. I don't know. It's a rough spot to be in, right? My question of, like, how often was the second looking for a challenge more important than the potential of a 4th Brute Strength to actually like close the game out? But obviously he won the event, so what do I know? Side deck, Creepy Realization. So I talked to Will about this a little bit, and he said Creepy Realization is there for Falling Skies. It cancels Falling Skies ability because it's +1 damage for each high in their card pool. You commit and say you get -1 for each card in your card pool. So if like you if they are forced to play an extra card or whatever, like you can stop it that way. In Control for a little bit of speed hate as well as some throw hate. League of Villains, 1 more Showdown for the high decks, Evil versus Good for the response decks, and then another Chronosis trigger. 2 mid block, breaker block, it's another attack, changes zones, yada yada yada. Yeah, good deck. I know Will's been playing this deck pretty much this entire season since set 6 came out. Is running it. Creep's also good versus Hawks and Mina too. Good point there. Yeah, all in all, incredible event. Super, super fun. I would love to know your guys' thoughts about these decks in the comments down below. And I truly suggest, if you are planning on going to Worlds, just pick up one of these decks, net deck it. It's why it's here. Play the deck and see how it feels. If it feels good to you, run it. Change 1, maybe 2 cards to suit your taste, and then play it. These are all incredible, incredible lists, and you should definitely give them a shot. With that said, you guys, thank you very much for watching the video, and as always, I wish you well.